I'm Stephanie Shea. I'm a voice actor and a ADR writer and a director.
This is her dog, Ippudo. And I'm Michael Sinter-Nicholas. I own NYV Post. I'm also a voice actor, voice director, and producer.
So, tell me, are you getting used to acting?
It's hard, but I guess it's what I decided to do.
My favorite thing about anime always used to be that it dealt with more mature themes than most of the animation I was growing up with. Now, though, I think there's really incredible conceptual things that happen that I don't really see in any other kind of storytelling. I also appreciate that anime in Japan is not relegated to just being kids' entertainment. It's a legitimate form of storytelling that I think the rest of the world, other than France, took a while to catch up to express deeper, more mature stories through animated pictures.
I think anime just means animation for, in Japan. So you have anime for girls, love stories. You have anime that are like action anime. You have anime that is drama. You even have pornographic anime. You started out as a fan, right?
Not of pornographic anime. I did. Actually, back in my day, because I'm an old fogey, we couldn't just get it on the interweb. We had to seek it out and find VHS tapes of Japanese programs that didn't even have subtitles, let alone dubs half the time. In New York, my friends and I would go to a place called Tokyo Video that was just a Japanese video store. And someone came from Japan with videotapes they got off the television, and they would rent these tapes. So we would watch shows like City Hunter with all the Japanese TV commercials, which was actually really cool, but would watch these shows over and over and over again, trying to figure out what was really going on. It was hard.
Here's one for you. Do you have to understand Japanese culture to be a good dubber?
I feel really lucky that my mom was born in Japan. I grew up with a lot of Japanese culture, and therefore when I look at an anime, I see it as a story with cultural things that are different from what I experience in the US or even in England. I've been in some sessions where I'm directed by people that don't understand Japanese culture, and they just see this like silly practice, or why would they do that? And I think fundamentally, if you can't connect to what is motivating your character, you can't really play it. So I think understanding the culture is kind of huge. Or even the tropes of the genre.
I think anime and maybe just Japanese shows in general, Japanese audiences aren't as hand-fed, and they like to kind of maybe put things together a little bit. And like in US, when we produce or write something, we're very concerned about whether the audience is getting it. So sometimes it tends to be more predictable. It's more you set up things so they make sure the audience really gets it. And I feel like with anime and other things in Japan, Japanese stories, is that they're not too concerned about that. I don't think you always have to explain it, but you have to, as a creator, understand it. I mean, I worked on the first season of Furikuri, over 10 years ago, and we're working on
well over 10 years ago.
We're working on the second and third season of Furikuri, and that's a show that there's a lot of things that are very vague, and even though they don't spell it out, we have to have a creative choice of what that means.
I think that's a really great example, because Furikuri, I think for a lot of people, did not make literal sense, but had an emotional resonance because it had a truth to it. I know that as we're going into the second and third season, we're finding lots of specificity from moment to moment to justify what on the surface is a lot of crazy stuff. An iron comes out of space and then people become robots. But there's a whole story about coming of age and, frankly, alien Mary Poppins. So when you peel back all the crazy layers and see what's at the heart of it, understanding that makes it a compelling piece of art as opposed to just a lot of spectacular nonsense on screen.
What are you doing? Let me go!
right, Stephanie Shea, what do you think makes a good dubbing artist?
What makes a good dubbing artist? I think actors who have like a natural musical talent, because dubbing is a lot of timing. We preview the Japanese, and then we get 3 beeps, and then we go. And generally speaking, I think actors who have a good sense of rhythm have a better sense of doing that timing.
Yeah, there are a lot of dub actors who were musicians first. A lot.
Yeah.
I think it helps them.
Is dubbing just reading the subtitles?
Heck no, it's not. First of all, I think it's really important to understand that when you translate something, it's already being interpreted some way. There are different analogs for this word into that word when you translate something. When you go to the subtitles, it's being interpreted even more and frankly cut short so that you can read it in time before they clear the screen. So I think, first of all, you need an adapted script that still retains the voice and the personality of the character and maybe has some more sophisticated word choices that would not be quickly readable as a subtitle. And then it's about more than just reading. It's about bringing these things to life. And I think it's particularly tricky because you see what the result has to be, but playing the result is the enemy of good acting. It's, being a result-oriented actor is a known no-no. So I think the trick is to take a script that is more than a subtitle and then breathe life into it as if you're saying it for the first time, not having just watched it being performed by someone else and then repeating it.
Ah, that's my worst technique! Great! I'm never gonna pass!
What goes into producing a dub?
What goes into making?
Wait.
A lot. A lot goes into making dubbing. A lot of steps goes into it before you even get into the booth. Every script has to be translated, and then it has to be time coded, which means somebody has a video that has a burn-in time code window, and they watch the TV show or the movie with the script, and they go frame by frame to look for when the open mouth is, and then they type that in to the script, and then they have to also time every single gasp or reaction or sound.
Punch or
any
face kick.
They like to go a lot. Like a lot in anime. So all of that has to be time coded, and then there's an ADR writer that has to write the script so it sounds like dialogue and also fit in all the mouth movements before even the actor goes in to act. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Why can't you take me seriously?
Do you think there's an anime style of acting?
Ooh, I think that anime has a reputation for a lot of the dubs that have come over the years that maybe weren't always the best. There have been some really standout, amazing works, but I think, oh God, I'm just going to be trashing the industry if I say this.
I'll
Ask me the
say
question
it.
again.
I'll say it.
Ask me the question again.
Okay. Do you think that...
I'll ask you the question then. If you have a concise answer, God bless you. Because...
Why don't you just say that, there's a lot of bad anime dubbing out there?
Okay.
You are a fool! Damn you, Yamato Takaru no Mikoto!
Ask me the question again.
Okay, fine. Is there a style of anime acting?
Huh? What the? How can you ask me that? Nani? I think that there's a style that's emerged because a lot of dubs, as a guy who produces them, a lot of dubs are not great. Can we all agree on that? There have been some really great standout dubs, but I think that lazy directing and poor acting has led to a sound that's very result-oriented. And again, I talked about this before, but I think the fundamentals of acting have to be present to make a dub compelling. To make any theatrical work compelling, the process has to be there before the result can arrive. So if you're going to take a finished work that has people being cute, people being angry, and then just play cute and angry, I don't think it really communicates anything. And therefore, a style in dubbing, I think, has risen, but it shouldn't be the case.
That said, though, I think the dubbing has definitely improved since a million years ago. From when I was watching. when I started out as an anime fan, I wouldn't even watch dubs. I would watch subtitles because I did not like the dubs at all. And then as I got into the industry, I found out how hard it was to dub from a technical standpoint. And today we have it easy today because it's all digital. Back in the 90s or 80s or earlier, they were recording everything analog, so it was even harder. You know, I talked to a friend of mine, he was producing or directing anime dubs back then. They had stopwatches, and they were recording on tape, so the last take that they did was always the last take. They couldn't go back to an earlier take. So if he asked the actor to do another take, that take would overwrite whatever the previous take was. So if it got worse, then he was stuck with that. So I don't entirely blame the quality of the dub from decades ago, you know, on the level of talent, because I think they had a much harder job.
But I do think also anime has a style, and you have to serve the visuals with your vocal performance, otherwise it's going to seem like it collides and doesn't serve. Yeah. So I think at that basic, like, core place, that there is a style to the genre, therefore that does dictate something for the performances as well.
What do you think?
Oh, well, it's not bad.
Oh, you're lying!
How do you get into character?
How do you get into character?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
I asked you first.
No, I gotta ask you questions too. So, how do you get into character?
How do I get into character? I go a lot off of the visual image and the Japanese vocal imprint in creating the character. And luckily, you know, when we're dubbing, we always are dubbing to picture, so that really helps. Sometimes I've been known to, if it's a really emotional scene and it's because dubbing is so technical, if I get a good sense of the rhythm of the line, I have closed my eyes sometimes.
I've totally done that.
To have a better feeling of it because the beeps and everything is so technical.
Hi!
Also, you know, you're not seeing that you're very obviously just standing in a padded box.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll try to change my body a little bit as I'm doing it. Something that really worked for me, I started doing this when I was on Ninja Turtles, which wasn't a dub, but I would hold a pen and I would sort of focus my energy like an acting wand, and I could gesticulate with it so I could feel like there was some movement, but I wasn't changing my microphone proximity with my mouth, because if you're all over the place, that can really mess things up.
I always assume the position of the character, even
huge.
if it's very minor. If the character has a hand on her hip, then that's what I do. If they're hanging from a tree, I put my hands above like I'm hanging from a tree.
There was a teacher I had in college who said, while we were learning Shakespeare text, he would say, all these other classes are nonsense. You don't need... His name was Barney Hammond, and he spoke like that. He also said, relax your jaw and your neck. But he talked with a very tight... Anyway, he would say, you don't need all this, you know, pre-work. As you say the words, so you are. And I was like, what? As you speak, so you are. And I find that in anime, sometimes I've had this experience where, rather than having a preconceived notion and preparing all this stuff, sometimes I can sort of feel at one with the picture, and it's weird. It's almost like a scene partner, but instead of waiting to hear what it says, I feel almost like a puppet being controlled by it. And as I say the words, if I'm open to letting the words affect me, I can just be in that world and be in that character.
Well, the other thing is that we don't get the script beforehand. Every job is a cold read. So when we walk in the booth, that's the first time we see those words. So maybe that's a good thing. Maybe your teacher would be like,
right, keep it fresh.
Yeah.
How is that you?
Go away.
I'm going to help you break the spell that you're under.
You can't even break your own spell.
What do you think of celebrities doing voiceover or voice acting? You've directed a lot of celebrities.
I've directed a lot of celebrities, and before I directed a lot of celebrities, I was lucky to be exposed to some early on in my career, but as a scale actor, watching big movies go to celebrities that never did voiceover before, and certainly not animation, I was like, well, what's that about? It's a marketing thing. But I gotta tell you, as a director who's worked with a lot of celebrities, I feel like it's kind of amazing. One of the things that I think newer actors or people still trying to find their niche or success a lot of actors say, like, don't box me in, I'm versatile, give me a shot, I can play old or young, or a woman or a man, or whatever type it is. But I find that with the celebrities I've worked with, they know their truth, if that makes sense, and they play to that. So they're able to both explore something from their own reality core without being like, oh, I'll just pretend to be whatever you need, and because they don't need the job, they are free to just explore in whatever other direction. I've definitely seen some more famous actors come through and not do the right take, which I thought was amazing. Rather than just be limited by what all the given circumstances are, explore some other way of doing it and come up with some amazing things.
That was off the chain! Cold-blooded!
Excuse me for probing, but what you just did back there, was it absolutely necessary? I'm beginning to wonder if you got any feeling for human life left in you at all.
Do you watch the shows that you work on?
Ooh, a lot of times if the show is new, there's no opportunity to watch them. As an anime voice actor, it's really hard to get your context. You aren't given the show ahead of time. If you can go find it, that's great. But when you're recording your show, you just go cue to cue to cue. So you miss all the stuff in the middle. So if you can get a hold of it and watch it ahead of time, that's great. But don't forget, you have to be available. This is important to your director.
Wait, you didn't answer the question. Do you watch the shows that you work on?
As a director or as an actor?
As a director, you obviously watch shows.
You have to.
And as an actor, you
multiple
don't.
times.
Plus, who has time to watch anime anymore?
Too busy making it.
I'm not even caught up on Doctor Who. I am so behind on Doctor Who.
For shame.
Hey, Dad! I need your help to save Mom!
As a producer and a director, getting to work on a movie is fantastic because it's usually of a higher quality and you can really drill deep into all these moments.
Higher quality? What do you mean by that? Animation.
The animation quality, they'll have a higher animation budget, so it's going to look more beautiful, maybe richer. But what's really fun about getting to work on a TV series is the characters come back and you can really grow them. So getting to spend time with these characters and not just have them ripped away when the movie's over is fantastic.
What was it like to work on your name?
Oh my. Let me ask you.
Yeah.
What was it like to work on your name?
It was a dream come true, seriously. We work on a lot of anime. We work on a lot of anime and a lot of wonderful, wonderful projects, and we pour our heart and souls into stuff. But usually no one sees it unless they're a hardcore anime fan, or no one even knows about it. And I think that, you know, getting the opportunity to work on something that was such an international phenomenon and success was very different. You know what? I had a callback audition at Nickelodeon after your name came out, and the director, I walked into the audition room and he goes, "Your name?" And I said, "Oh, Stephanie Sheh."
Oh, no.
And he goes, "No, the movie, congratulations." But beyond that, I loved the movie. When we saw it that first time, like, I was like, oh my god, I want to be in this, but I don't think I'm right for any parts. You had kind of similar.
Same thing. I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. Whoever gets to play these parts is so lucky.
Could this mean that we're really...
That we're in our dreams, that guy and I...
That we're in our dreams, that girl and I... We're switching places?
Yeah, and an added benefit was I could direct you being me, and you could direct me being you.
And we had this, because, you know, even as simpatico as we are, sometimes we argue and we disagree. And so...
No, we don't! What?
So we came up with a plan during your name. That meant that if the person was playing the opposite sex. So if Michael was playing Mitsuha trapped in Taki's body, if we had a disagreement, I would have final say. And vice versa. If I was playing Taki trapped in Mitsuha's body and we had a disagreement, he would have final say.
So basically we had artistic control over our own characters.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's usually right about everything when she's directing, so.
That's true.
It's true.
Is that it?
Yeah, isn't great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.